Ever feel like you're the only one who actually sees what's going on? Not just what people say, but what they really mean. The fear behind the smile, the emptiness behind the success. If so, this video isn't just for you, it's about you. Some people are born with a different kind of vision. Not better, just deeper. They pick up the lies wrapped in politeness, the tension hidden in laughter. That's not sensitivity. That's power, the kind that others don't know how to handle. Here, we're not talking about fitting in. We're talking about leading from the inside out, with clarity, emotional precision, and strategic silence. Qualities that Machiavelli would call dangerous because they can't be manipulated. The world rewards performance, but if you've always struggled to play along, that's not a failure. It's a sign you weren't made for the stage. You were made to break the script. We'll explore what makes your presence shift a room, why superficiality feels like poison, and how your deepest wound might hold your greatest authority. This isn't a self-help speech. It's a philosophical decoding of rare minds. If you've ever been labeled too much, you're in the right place. Because in truth, you're probably not too much. You're just too real for people who are addicted to pretending. Let's begin. But be warned, once you hear this, it'll be hard to forget. Because once you understand what you are, you'll never be able to act ordinary again.
Seeing through people isn't a gift, it's a responsibility. Some people hear words, others hear what's behind them. If you've ever watched someone smile while their eyes screamed for help, you know what I mean. It's not just intuition, it's precision. A way of reading energy, body language, silence. Machiavelli would call this a dangerous form of perception because it reveals what others work hard to conceal. You're not imagining it. When you walk into a room, the energy shifts, people get quieter, posture changes, and some even avoid eye contact. It's not you they fear, it's what you see. Your presence reflects the truth they're hiding from themselves. That reflection? It's uncomfortable, and uncomfortable people push away what they don't want to face. You've likely been called too intense, too analytical, or just different. But the truth is, your mind operates on a different frequency, one built for observation, not participation. While others speak, you decode. While others react, you pause. This is more than insight, it's emotional strategy, and it makes you powerful if you know how to use it. But here's the catch, it also makes you a threat. People don't like being seen naked, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Your eyes strip away the masks, and that triggers defense mechanisms. That's why some people become passive-aggressive around you, why others ghost you without explanation. They're not rejecting you, they're running from the mirror you hold up. This gift, or curse, demands control. You can't call out every lie you catch. You can't expose every crack you notice. Power isn't in what you see, it's in what you choose to say. Machiavelli would remind you, a wise man doesn't show all his cards. He observes quietly and strikes with purpose. Want to test this in real life? Next time someone's performing for attention, say nothing. Just maintain eye contact, steady, neutral. Watch how quickly their confidence unravels. That's not magic, that's presence. And when used with intention, it becomes influence at its highest level. But once you learn to see through people, superficial conversations become unbearable. Small talk feels like chewing air. And that's where the next phase of your transformation begins.
Superficiality isn't boring, it's suffocating. You felt it, that empty, awkward feeling during small talk, like your soul is slowly leaking out through your ears. Most people think it's just introversion, but it's not. It's spiritual hunger. When your mind is wired for depth, shallow conversation becomes psychological starvation. You crave realness. Not gossip, not "how was your weekend?" You want to talk about purpose, pain, philosophy. You want to understand people beneath the mask. Not because you're trying to analyze them, but because your soul can't survive on surface-level interaction. That's not a personality trait. That's a signal of rare consciousness. Machiavelli would say, "Never waste your breath where your truth won't be heard." There's a strategic elegance in conserving energy. When your words are currency, every sentence should be an investment. And when the environment offers no return, silence becomes power. Your quietness isn't weakness, it's a filtration system. Ever notice how you feel lonelier in a crowd than when you're truly alone? That's because being surrounded by noise that doesn't nourish you is more damaging than solitude. Silence gives you space to think. Shallow company drowns that space in static. That discomfort you feel? It's not social anxiety. It's respect for your inner world. Here's a simple exercise. Spend an hour in a group conversation and ask yourself afterward, did that feed me or drain me? If it drained you, it wasn't you being antisocial. It was your intuition protecting your energy. That's leadership. That's emotional self-respect. And few people know how to guard their peace like that. People addicted to superficiality will call you distant, cold, even arrogant. But they don't realize you're not avoiding them. You're avoiding emotional bankruptcy. You've learned the cost of overstimulation and the value of intentional presence. And while that might make you weird, it also makes you dangerous in a world that thrives on distraction. But here's where it gets even heavier. The more sensitive your system becomes to noise, the more you begin to absorb energy that isn't yours. And if you don't learn how to filter that out, it'll consume you from the inside.
When you absorb everything, you stop knowing what's yours. If you've ever walked into a room and instantly felt a wave of sadness, even though nothing happened to you, you know what I'm talking about. You don't just sense people, you absorb them. Their emotions, their chaos, their shadows. And it's not voluntary, it's automatic, like breathing in a room full of smoke. This isn't empathy, it's psychic saturation. You don't just notice what others are feeling, you carry it in your body. By the end of the day, you're emotionally exhausted and you can't figure out why. That's because half of what you're carrying isn't yours, and if you don't learn to separate, you'll drown in other people's storms. Machiavelli would have called this a dangerous form of openness, a power without boundaries. And what is power without strategy? Vulnerability. If you don't control what you absorb, you become a sponge for dysfunction. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you unclear. And clarity in leadership is non-negotiable. One way to test this? Spend 10 minutes in silence after a social interaction and ask yourself, what part of this emotion actually belongs to me? If the answer is unclear, you've absorbed someone else's energy. Now imagine doing that for years. It's no wonder you feel depleted. This is why solitude isn't a luxury for you, it's survival. And here's the real trap. Being the emotional fixer gives you a sense of purpose. It feels good to help others, but helping becomes a distraction from healing yourself. You lose touch with your core. You become the therapist with a cracked mirror, the leader who leads everyone but themselves. That's not power. That's avoidance dressed as service. So what do? You filter, you purge, you cleanse. Whether it's meditation, journaling, walking in silence, or simply breathing with awareness, you need space to return to your baseline. If not, you'll become so entangled with others that you forget your own voice. And the world doesn't need another martyr. It needs a clear strategist.
There's a special kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from working too much. It comes from pretending too long. You know the feeling. Smiling when you're breaking inside, nodding when you disagree, shrinking when your soul wants to roar. It's not weakness, it's a survival reflex, one that slowly kills your identity. You've been taught to adapt, to adjust, to please, and somewhere along the line, you became a collection of masks. Work mask, family mask, social mask, all carefully curated to avoid conflict and gain approval. But approval doesn't bring peace. It brings performance fatigue, the ache of living as a version of yourself. Machiavelli warned, when your inner self is fragmented, you're easier to manipulate. A person unsure of who they are becomes a puppet to outside forces. That's why the world loves agreeable people. They're predictable, harmless. But the moment you step out of the script, the system starts to tremble. You've probably felt this. The moment you spoke up, said no, or expressed your real opinion, everything shifted. Some pulled away. Others called you difficult. But deep down, didn't it feel good? That surge of clarity, even in the discomfort? That's authentic power, the kind that makes people take notice. Here's a challenge. Pick one place where you're constantly performing. Next time you're there, try being 10% more honest. Just 10%. Don't overexpose, just tilt the mask slightly. See who leans in, see who recoils. The ones who stay, that's your real circle. The rest, background noise. The longer you hide, the more you forget what real feels like, and the more disconnected you get from your own authority. But the moment you begin to reintegrate, to show up as your whole self, everything recalibrates. Your energy changes, your decisions sharpen, and you start attracting situations that match your essence. And once that happens, something strange begins. You start noticing others who are doing the same. You sense them in silence, like frequencies recognizing each other. And those rare connections, they don't just feel good, they unlock something ancient inside you, something that's been waiting to wake up.
Real recognizes real, and it changes everything. Sometimes you meet someone and there's no need for small talk, no filters, no masks, just one look and you know. It's like your soul has finally bumped into someone who speaks your unspoken language. These moments are rare, electric, and unforgettable. Not chemistry, but recognition.
Machiavelli would call this strategic alignment, two forces calibrated on the same frequency. It's not about similarity, it's about truth. And when two people have stripped away enough illusion, they can meet as they are, not as they perform. The bond is instant, unexplainable, and often life-changing. You might find these connections anywhere: a passing conversation, a glance in a crowded room, a quiet comment that feels like thunder. And when it hits, you feel seen, not liked, not admired, seen. And that kind of seeing rewires you, because once you've experienced it, everything fake starts to itch. It's both a gift and a curse. After that kind of connection, superficiality becomes intolerable. You find yourself pulling away from forced conversations and empty dynamics, not out of judgment, but out of preservation. Once your system has tasted depth, it refuses to starve again. Want to test this? Think of someone you've recently met who made you feel off. Then think of someone who made you feel fully at ease, even in silence. That contrast tells you everything. Your nervous system doesn't lie. It responds to frequency, not words. And when it feels safe, it opens. But here's the danger. These rare connections can become addictive. You may start to chase them, expecting every interaction to reach that level. That's not realistic, and it's not necessary. The point isn't to find a crowd of rare people. It's to become so real that you naturally draw in those who match you. Because the more you embody your truth, the more you attract truth. And these connections, though rare, are not coincidences. They're signals, signs that your authenticity is working. And they often appear right before your real purpose begins to surface.
You carry a purpose that won't fit inside one lifetime. Some people chase goals. Others are chased by something bigger, a purpose that doesn't let them rest. It's not ambition. It's not ego. It's a persistent whisper in the back of your mind that says, "You're here for more." You don't know exactly what it is, but you can't shake the feeling. That's the weight of legacy. Machiavelli believed that true leaders don't serve comfort, they serve necessity. You've probably felt this, that restlessness, that sense that no title, no success, no praise ever really satisfies you. Because your purpose isn't about external achievement. It's about becoming the kind of person who shifts reality just by being fully alive. This kind of calling doesn't come with clear instructions. It comes with tension, the uncomfort of being too aware, too sensitive, too awake. The world tells you to relax, to be normal. But mediocrity itches like wool, because somewhere deep inside you know you weren't made to blend in. You were made to interrupt patterns. But purpose without clarity becomes a burden. You start taking on too much, helping everyone, saying yes to things that don't align, just to feel useful, and that drains you. True purpose requires precision, strategy, the courage to say no to everything that isn't directly aligned with your inner mission. Here's a strategy. List what energizes you and what drains you. Then ask, which of these actually aligns with who I want to become? That's how you refine purpose, not by waiting for signs, but by removing distractions. Your calling isn't a job description. It's a vibration that demands structure. This is why you may feel isolated even when surrounded by opportunity. Because if the opportunity doesn't match your internal compass, it feels empty. You're not ungrateful, you're unfulfilled. Big difference. And when you understand that, you stop settling. You start building, slowly, intentionally, from the inside out. And just when your vision begins to take form, you'll realize something unexpected. That everything guiding you, all your insight, clarity, drive, is rooted in one core experience: your pain. The wound you've spent years trying to escape might just be your greatest gift.
Your deepest wound is the blueprint for your power. Everyone has a scar, but not everyone knows how to read it. If you've ever wondered why your pain runs so deep, it's because it's not just a memory, it's a map. Your wound didn't come to break you, it came to reveal you. And once you stop hiding it, you'll see it's the very source of your authority. Machiavelli would say that the most dangerous man is the one who's made peace with his suffering. Why? Because no one can use it against him. The moment you own your pain, it stops owning you. And what once felt like a weakness becomes your sharpest tool for understanding others and leading them through darkness. You weren't just the kid who felt too much. You were the one who saw too much. You noticed what no one acknowledged. You questioned what everyone tolerated. And because of that, you were labeled, excluded, or dismissed. But what if that wasn't rejection, but initiation? What if the exile was part of the training? Think about the times you've helped someone through a storm. You didn't guide them with theory. You guided them because you'd been there. That's why they trusted you. Your wisdom came soaked in experience, not in ego. And that's what makes you different. Not polished, not perfect, just real. Want to turn this into strength? Stop waiting for closure. Start using reflection. Journal about how your pain shaped your values, your perspective, your leadership. You'll see a pattern. You'll find that most of what makes you effective, your intuition, your depth, your discernment, was forged through fire. But don't confuse healing with erasing. Your wound isn't meant to disappear. It's meant to stay, like a scar that reminds you where your power comes from. The world doesn't need flawless leaders. It needs honest ones. People who can say, yes, I bled, but look what I built from it. And once you embrace that truth, something fundamental shifts. You stop performing. You stop chasing perfection. You lead from wholeness, even if it still hurts sometimes. And from that place, you'll face your greatest test yet. Not the world around you, but the inner decision to stop hiding for good.
Knowing who you are means you can't pretend anymore. There comes a moment when you can no longer pretend. You've seen too much, felt too deeply, grown too aware. And now the idea of returning to who you used to be feels unbearable. That version of you, the one who smiled to keep the peace, who stayed silent to stay liked, no longer fits, and wearing it feels like suffocating in your own skin. You know who you are now, and that knowledge is powerful, but also dangerous. Because once you see the truth of yourself, every lie feels heavier. Every compromise stings. You can't unknow what you know, and pretending becomes a slow form of self-destruction.
Machiavelli would say that power without expression decays. You were not made to blend in, you were made to challenge, to provoke, to lead with presence. But here's the catch. The moment you step out of the role others assigned you, you become a disruption. And disruptions aren't always welcomed, even by the people closest to you. Have you noticed how the more honest you are, the more others seem uncomfortable? That's because your authenticity is a mirror, and most people aren't ready to see themselves clearly. So they label you, they pull away. But that's not rejection. That's your frequency doing its job, filtering out what no longer resonates. If you want to test this in real life, try this. Stop agreeing out of habit. Let your silence speak when you'd normally soften the truth. Watch how people react. Some will back away. Others will lean in with curiosity or respect. That reaction reveals who's in your life because of who you are and who's there because of who you pretended to be. This moment is a crossroads. You can keep adjusting to fit others' comfort zones, or you can step into your own, not with arrogance, but with clarity, not to dominate, but to lead by example. Because authenticity isn't about being loud, it's about being undeniably real, even in the face of resistance. And here's the truth no one tells you. The more real you become, the more the world will push back at first. But if you stay grounded, something remarkable happens. The right people start to find you. The right spaces begin to open. And you realize this discomfort was never punishment. It was the price of becoming you. The world will test your truth relentlessly. Once you stop pretending, the world doesn't clap. It tests you. It pushes back. People start watching you more closely, questioning your tone, your decisions, your silence. Not because you're wrong, but because you're no longer predictable. And when you're no longer predictable, you're no longer easy to control. Machiavelli understood this well. The moment you declare independence from illusion, the system fights to pull you back in, not with chains, but with guilt, shame, and pressure to conform. Friends might drift, colleagues might gossip, but don't be fooled. This isn't about them rejecting you. It's about them protecting their illusion. Authenticity, when consistent, is disruptive. It exposes the gaps in others, makes them feel naked. That's why they say, "You've changed," when really, you've just stopped pretending. And deep down, they feel it. Your presence becomes a challenge, not because you're attacking, but because you're standing firm. Want to test this? Pick a situation where you usually shrink. This time, don't. Don't over-explain. Don't apologize for existing. Just hold your ground. Watch the shift in energy. Some people will push harder. Others will grow silent. But a few, a rare few, will respect you more than ever. Because strength doesn't always look like aggression. Sometimes it looks like calm refusal. Sometimes it sounds like silence that can't be dismissed.
When your truth is embodied, you no longer need to prove it. And that's what makes you powerful. Not volume, clarity. But here's the real beauty of being tested. Each time you hold your position, your core strengthens. You stop fearing rejection. You stop negotiating with your own values. You become rooted, and people feel that. They may not like it, but they trust it. And trust, over time, builds unshakable influence. And just when you've mastered this new level of presence, you begin to notice something strange. People shift when you walk in. The air changes. The room listens even before you speak. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're reshaping it. And that's where your transformation reaches its peak.
You've become the type who alters a room without saying a word. There's a moment when you realize people feel you before they hear you. You enter a space and something shifts. Conversations pause. Energy rearranges. It's not charisma. It's not ego. It's resonance. You've become someone whose presence speaks louder than performance. Machiavelli would say, true power doesn't announce itself, it's felt. And you've been shaped by fire, refined through solitude, and sharpened by clarity. You didn't chase influence, you became influence, not by being louder, but by becoming deeply aligned with your truth. You don't need to dominate, you don't need to convince. Your calm is commanding. Your silence is calculated. Your authenticity draws attention not because it's flashy, but because it's rare. And in a world of noise, rarity has a gravitational pull. Think back. How many times has a room gone quiet when you entered? How often do people watch your reactions before responding? That's not paranoia. That's presence. You carry an energy that others subconsciously measure themselves against. That's why your stillness shakes more than their speeches. This kind of leadership can't be taught in classrooms or corporate retreats. It's the result of years spent confronting your own shadows, owning your wounds, refining your voice. You've cultivated emotional authority, the kind that commands respect without needing applause. And because of that, you no longer fit into places where pretending is required. Your very existence disrupts systems built on denial. That's why you've outgrown certain rooms, why some people feel drained by your clarity, and why others, the ones who are ready, feel ignited just by being near you. So here's the question. Now that you've become this kind of presence, what will you do with it? Because your evolution wasn't for decoration, it was for impact. And the only thing standing between you and your next level is the decision to own it fully.
You've made it to the end, but this isn't really the end, is it? Now that you've seen what few dare to see, what will you do with it? Will you keep diluting your essence just to fit into a mold you've already outgrown? Or will you finally step into the leadership that your silence, your vision, your power have been crafting all along? What mask are you still wearing, and what part of you is begging to be free? Let me know in the comments, what part of today's insight shook you the most? Don't hold back. Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to read. And if this video stirred something deep inside you, don't disappear. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Because you're not just watching videos here, you're waking up to a deeper philosophy of life, of power, of autodominio. And trust me, the next video waiting for you, right here on the screen and also in the description, is the piece you didn't know you needed. Go now and remember, true influence begins when you stop pretending and start owning who you really are.